As I have announced, this is going to be a live somewhat about Namjoon's letter on Weverse on June 13. But honestly, I want to make it very clear from the very beginning that it's not going to be the good afternoon from Tennessee. Good afternoon from Poltava. So I want to make it very clear from the very beginning that it's not going to be like an interpretation of the letter or something like I'm not going to tell you what Namjoon meant in that letter. I'm only going to tell you what I thought of because of this letter. Because for some reason, for better or for worse, Namjoon always makes me think about the deepest things with his simplest words, whether these are the lyrics in his songs or the words that he writes somewhere or something like this. And that's why, to a big extent, this is going to be my chance to tell you how I actually view this world, this reality, and how I understand our place in it. Why it is sad and why it is beautiful, why we save each other or don't we save each other, how we reflect in one another, how our words influence each other, and so on and so on. So this is going to be like a live about this. So, okay, people are joining a little bit more. A lot of people have already joined. Thank you so much for being here again. So I will get to what I actually dedicated this live to. And first of all, I want to read the letter itself to you, the English translation of it, just for us to understand what we are speaking about. You can speak to each other, by the way, in the comments while I'm speaking. Why not? So, okay, the letter. Of Namjoon from June 13, 2026. Hello, I'm writing this letter on a beautiful day after a long time. I don't here we go again. I don't particularly love the phrase someone saves someone, nor do I believe in it wholeheartedly, but undeservedly having occasionally heard such words as I have lived, I come to look back and wonder if I too wasn't saved by you. I'm trying to live more simply, more plainly, or maybe more boldly than before. The moments when I sink into sentiment have significantly grown fewer. Still, the world remains sad. And I suppose that's inevitable, no matter how many joyful days there are. Perhaps in truth it's because I'm so happy that it feels that way. I've sent out so many words and thrown so many sounds into the air. I don't really know which melody, which little stone has reached each of you standing here now, but I feel I'll always be someone who keeps sending and throwing things out, just as I did 13 years ago, and will in the years to come, as long as you are there listening. Making memories together and consuming each year one by one, that makes me extremely happy, and I'm still so glad that I can shout out to someone these words. I see myself again and again through all of you. Do you do so as well? Thank you once more for being with us on this precious anniversary. Today is Saturday the 13th, an utterly beautiful day. Even if someone asks what that event means, I want to keep piling up, in a corner of my heart, the memories and the days to celebrate that only we know. I ask for your kind and continued care. I love you. So this is Namjoon's letter, and now I will be going paragraph by paragraph to try to explain to you what it made me think about. And in the first paragraph he says, I don't particularly love the phrase someone saves someone, nor do I believe in it wholeheartedly. But undeservedly having occasionally heard such words as I have lived, I come to look back and wonder if I too wasn't saved by you. And I, because of this phrase, started to think about what do we actually mean when we say someone saved me, like you saved me. I started to remember the situations in which I myself needed saving and was eventually saved. And these were the situations when I was in something that I would now call a personal crisis. In my situation, like in one of such crises, I was saved by BTS, like a lot of us probably. I have a video on my YouTube where I tell in more detail about the story of how I became an ARMY. It's called Why I Am a BTS ARMY. And there were other situations in my life when I was saved by someone. In probably the most difficult period in my life, as I remember it right now, when I was 23 years old, I was saved by a therapist. And not really a therapist as in I went to a session, but actually that was a blog of a therapist. And where I started reading about like different psychological situations, effects, and mental health, and when I realized what is happening to me actually at that moment. And there were a lot of other situations when I was saved by some book, by some movie, by some song, by some lyrics, by some poem, by something like that. So I started to think, what do we mean when we say, for example, BTS saved me? And why do we even need saving? And it also came through from the video that I made about Right Place, Wrong Person album. You might have seen it on my page. I mean, the one that I recently made here posted here in Instagram. It was, in the end, I said about the chaos which keeps unfolding, about the Sisyphus that keeps pushing the stone up the mountain and the stone which keeps falling back, about how my teacher told me that the chaos unfolds and we need to put it into order, then it unfolds again. And I remembered one more teacher who said to me that the life is an elevator which is going down and you need to put an effort all the time to just stay in one place. So I was thinking about this. Why does chaos keep unfolding? Why do we need to put effort into something that is not even development? We just need to put in effort to stay on the same level. And in one of the meditation experiences recently, I actually came across the answer to this. And the answer is something that we already know. That everything in this universe is expanding. And we do not experience this expansion because physical reality seems to be stable, but we do expand all the time. And I remembered one thing from the times when I was geeking about physics, that there is such thing as entropy. Entropy is the measure of randomness and instability inside the system. And they say that entropy in closed system, in isolated system, always increases. So to me it gave like an understanding, an experience, a realization about that we actually expand all the time. And when we expand, what used to be an order becomes chaos. Like the structure that used to hold us in certain place, it stops working. And by structure, I mean our perception of the reality, our beliefs that we used to base our life upon. So we could be, for example, thinking that we could believe something about life, but after a certain expansion of our energy, of our consciousness, this system stops working. So what we need is another way of understanding reality, another way of understanding ourselves. And that's when we find it in the outside world, in some writer, in some musician, in some poet, in another person, in some movie, in a therapist, anywhere. This is how we save each other. And basically, when I say someone saved me, I mean when my life has turned into chaos, which is a very natural process. The life becomes chaos again and again because we expand. And when we expand, the entropy increases and we need to put it back to order. So, and this chaos, this entropy is perceived by our psychic as an existential threat. It scares us. So we find ourselves in a crisis, which is actually the situation in which the internal complexity has grown to the point when our understanding of the reality no longer can facilitate it. We find ourselves in this situation, we get scared, and we find some external thing, it's external reference to explain to us the new reality that we now live in because of this expansion which has happened. And this is what we mean when we say someone saved me. This is what we mean when we save someone else. And this is probably why for Namjoon it doesn't feel like something that he believes in. Because when we say, you saved me, the person might perceive it as, it's supposed to be some heroic act of conquering some monster on behalf of another person. That's what for some people saving means. But it's not the case. They save us from the horror of the chaos that we used to hold inside of us. They help us put this chaos into order. And that's what saving means. And that's the only saving, basically, that we all require. So this is like one of the things that I thought of. And also it made me think about that maybe actually it's the only goal of the humanity, to put chaos into order. To facilitate the expansion of the universe. Because the universe expands, right? So it needs to be put into order. And human consciousness is one of things that can do it. We put chaos into order by creating something. We put chaos into order by communicating something. We put chaos into order by creating something. We put chaos into order by making paintings, writing books, making music, saying words, and so on and so on. So this is one of the things that clarified for me. But another thing that he said in the paragraph one after this, he said, still the world remains sad, and I suppose it's inevitable, no matter how many joyful days there are. Perhaps, in truth, it's because I'm so happy that I feel that way. I think that I feel this sadness too. And actually, it feels like some ache in my heart, which just never goes away. And I think that this ache is because of everything that we carry inside of us as a humanity. Because there is a lot of trauma that forms our reality, that forms the way we communicate, that forms the way we express or don't express, which forms the way we connect, and so on and so on. People are, I'm saying it as a healer, as a person who works with a lot of people, as a person who has witnessed a lot of people, as a person who has read about a lot of people, as a person who just, sees what is happening in the reality around me. I mean, I live in a country with an ongoing war. People are extremely, extremely traumatized, and they scream about their trauma all the time. We create the systems which are built upon the trauma. Our trauma suppresses our expansion. Expansion is a natural process which happens one way or another. And trauma is something that constricts, is that a word? In some places stops us from expanding. And the thing is that you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid your own trauma, and you cannot avoid the trauma of other people. We face the consequences of it in the system that we live in. The social economical system that we live in is deeply based upon lack of trust, upon greed, upon hate, upon inability to be yourself, lack of need to be yourself. This is what we face in our day-to-day life all the time when we meet other people, when we go to work, when we go to the shops, when we like scroll through social media. This is happening everywhere, but also it is happening in our subconscious, because we are not separate from each other, and we have never been. It's impossible to separate yourself from other people, because even if you go as a monk to some mountain, to the cave, you will still be experiencing all the same thing through your subconscious, because the deepest subconscious of every person is connected with the subconscious of all the people. We have the collective mind, let's say, through which we are all connected. And so the person is basically stuck between two walls. The social economical system, which is built upon trauma, and the depth of their own subconscious, which is filled with the pain from the trauma. And it is a very sad reality, isn't it? The people who are more sensitive, and probably the people who are here now or people who are watching this later, are the people who are more sensitive. We might not understand what we feel. We might not understand why we feel sad. But after what I have just said, how could we not feel sad? How could we not feel sad experiencing all of this? Experiences this social economical system, which is deeply unnatural for us, and experiencing all of the pain that we store in our subconscious all the time. How could we not feel sad? But the thing is, though, true beauty is true sadness, right? The world is filled with paradox. While we experience all of this pain, we also experience all of this pleasure and all of this beauty. This time right now is the most beneficial time for healing, I think. More beneficial than it has ever been. The information is free. You can get information from everywhere. You can get information from thin air. You can get energies, you can get experiences. The numbers of healers everywhere around the world is enormous. I don't think it has ever been like that. The value of a human is the highest it has ever been. The impact of a human's will and human's intention is the greatest that it has ever been. If people allow themselves to be influential, if people allow themselves to heal and to change. So while we are experiencing all of this pain, there is also a lot of fun and joy to experience. And I can see it all at the same time. And that's actually what Namjoon is speaking about. Perhaps in truth it's because I'm so happy that it feels that way. It's this contrast from the sadness of all of the pain that we experience, but also from all of the hope and joy that there is in this world. True beauty is true sadness. And by the way, I will kind of use this moment to say that if you want your life to be better, it's just enough to open for the possibility of being healed, and you will be healed. This is the configuration of the reality that is right now. You cannot, it's impossible that you're not healed if you open up. The only situation in which a person will not be healed is when they isolate. Because when they do not allow themselves to be changed by the outside reality, by the outside world, they just not allow the world to help them, to heal them. And one more thing that I wanted to say about the letter to, about the phrase that Namjoon wrote, I'm trying to live more simply, more plainly, or maybe more boldly than before. The moments when I sink into sentiment have significantly grown fewer. It's this, because there are two of these tendencies which are both very complex. The tendency that the universe expands, and we need to facilitate, with our consciousness, we need to facilitate this expansion. And the tendency of healing, we need to intentionally put in intention to heal ourselves and to heal our life, our surrounding, because of all of this discomfort, probably. or I don't know, in spite of this discomfort, we have been gifted with something as beautiful as this earth, which is really beautiful, incredibly beautiful. And there is something beautiful that you can find in every way, in every day. And even, you know, this term that we use with you, the term of Namjoon, it comes from that, I think. When you feel a lot of sadness, you go to the nature and you feel much better. Because nature is always welcoming and beautiful. And it feels good just to, you know, breathe with your whole lungs and like take a deep inhalation. Or eating something delicious, or talking to the people that you love. While there is a lot of everything that is very extremely painful in this life, there is also a lot of everything that is extremely beautiful and pleasurable. Love, sex, touch, connection, food, nature, a lot of things. So this is like the paradox and the contradiction, one of the many paradoxes that this reality is being built upon. And this is what we chose for ourselves. But there is also this paragraph about, I've sent out so many words and thrown so many sounds into the air. I don't really know which melody, which little stone has reached each of you standing here now, but I feel I'll always be someone who keeps sending and throwing things out, just as I did 13 years ago, and I will in the years to come, as long as you are there listening. To me, the thing with this is that, as I have already said, we all put chaos into order in our best expression. And the way we do it is individual for each of us. And I think that is something that is called purpose, our unique way of arranging things. And we all do it differently. For me, for example, it's words. I do it through words. And Namjoon probably does it through words as well as making music. And I as well heal people. But also there are so many ways. Like people make paintings, people do architecture, like engineering, like science, writing books, making, I don't know, movies, anything. Creativity is always a way to put chaos into order. And Namjoon is speaking about his, throwing sounds and throwing words into the air, throwing the stones into the water and watching how the ripples of it affect other people. And when he said at the beginning that he started to think about whether or not he was saved by us, by you, by people, it's also in a way interesting because the audience in a way is a motivation for an artist to do something. So the audience in a way is a motivation for the artist to put his internal chaos into order, to deliver it in the form of music, of songs, of whatever. So when he asked, was he saved by you? Was he saved by us? He probably was. Because that's what motivated him to put his internal struggle into some shape, to be able to connect with it, to be able to make it conscious. And the last thing was when he said, I see myself again and again through all of you. Do you do as well? And the thing is that we cannot actually directly, we cannot always directly experience ourselves. Most of the time we experience ourselves through other people. And I have actually a video about it, and maybe even a few videos about it, because it's one of the fundamental things of my system of beliefs, that because we cannot see ourselves, we have all of these reactions to the people around us, to the public people, to the people that we see, to the things that we see, and so on. These reactions do not actually speak to us about those people. Those reactions that we have inside of us speak to us about ourselves. And this is our way of understanding ourselves, not understanding other people. This is how we learn more and more about ourselves, when we reflect upon our reactions on everything that we see. And this is the same for everybody and for artists as well. As we see ourselves in them, they see themselves in us. This is just how it works, because it's natural thing for people to reflect from each other, to experience more of themselves. So these are more or less like the things that I wanted to talk to you about. I will now read your comments and answer your questions. If you want to ask something else, you are welcome to write it. To sum up, I just wanted to say that, I just wanted to sum up again. Like, we as people experience expansion, constant expansion, that increases the amount of chaos in our systems, in our being, in our lives. When the amount of this chaos becomes critical, we experience it as a crisis, an inability to live the way we used to live. And then we find the new ways to live through other people. And that's how we experience that I was saved by him, or I was saved by her, I was saved by them. But actually, this is the best case scenario. In a lot of scenarios, people isolate, and then it only gets worse. The entropy... Thank you, Mr. Priest. Good one. Looks good in a... the entropy just continues to grow. And then it's never a good thing that happens. This is how we lose people. When they isolate, this is when we lose ourselves. When we isolate and we do not allow the world to change us, we do not allow ourselves to change the way we perceive reality. And another process, the second process, is the process of healing, which is now unprecedented. Like, the possibilities for healing are amazing. And we can be healed by everything if we allow ourselves to be healed.